Hello everyone in this YouTube world. It has been 2 years since I have said those words to a camera. I have facial hair now. Twink death is real. It is happening. You know what? We're embracing it. We are embracing twink death. I'm a ginger. I'm gonna embrace being a ginger. My hair up here isn't gonna last for very long, so might as well embrace the hair. I just wanted to come online to kind of reflect on my life here in my early 20s whenever it comes to like emotions, feelings, and just different life events, because life is so unpredictable. The last, I want to say, 8 years of my life coming into adulthood was definitely a roller coaster of emotions. The major thing that happened was that my grandmom passed away. She passed away, it would be 2 years ago. That was probably the most significant event that has ever happened in my life. The last time I actually made a YouTube video, that was made right before she actually died. I was in a deep depressive state to the point where I was rarely getting out of bed, rarely leaving my house. And this was even before my grandmom died. It was something that wasn't unexpected considering like her condition, but that doesn't mean that the emotions didn't hit. Mentally, I've thought about this moment, but whenever you're actually living in that moment, it feels like you're having this out-of-body experience. I was kind of living in an internal nightmare that I couldn't escape from no matter how hard I wanted to, and that was just my reality. I had on and off distanced myself from, but that went all the way back to like 2018. My senior year of high school was very rough for me. I was going through a really rough patch with this guy that I was in love with, and that was also the same time frame from when I officially found out that my grandmom had been diagnosed with dementia. It was within that month or so of me graduating. So for a really long time, I merged my grandmom's deteriorating health with my first heartbreak mentally, and I really thought on a lot of that. And I think what I was doing was I was projecting my hurt into other avenues. Like I was trying to get that loving energy from this guy who I have so many amazing memories that I will forever hold true and dear to my heart. There was a point where I had to look at myself and say, I can't keep on saying why it isn't me, because the door's been there. There's no opening it anymore. I realized that the impact he had on me is probably much greater than the impact that I had on him. That was a very hard pill for me to swallow. I always felt like maybe there is a chance that we could get back together. Maybe like I can have that fairy tale, High School Musical, Disney Channel love story that I always wanted and I always talked about, because I had imagined that with him. I think in that relationship, he had every right to do what he wanted to do, because him and I were so on and off with talking with one another. I would always just be questioning myself when we would get in and out of these phases of talking with one another where I was like, why isn't it me? I really didn't know the emotions and feelings I had whenever I had to close the door finally. What really described it best was an interview that Reese Witherspoon did about her character Elle Woods in Legally Blonde. There's a moment in the movie where Elle looks at the man that she loves. Elle had this realization of, I'm not your girl, am I? And there was a moment where I still felt like that door was inched open, but then I found out there was a new relationship coming into play. That was kind of the moment I knew, oh, I'm not your guy. And that was something really hard for me to finally say, okay, I think I need to not put myself in the equation anymore. I don't know, whenever we were together, I had this promise ring that he gave me, and I remember coming home one day after seeing him, and I came upstairs and I remember my grandma noticed something. She grabbed my hand and she looked at my ring and she started playing with it, and she started asking me questions about it, and I couldn't really give her a clear, distinct answer. I think she knew how special whatever was attached to that ring was to me. For the longest time, I thought maybe that was her stamp of approval of him being with me, but then I thought that's not fair for him, and that's also not fair for me. I think also still longing to be the 17-year-old version of myself that still had his grandmom in his life. At some point, I need to move on. I realized maybe I did sabotage a lot of relationships and a lot of guys who I came into contact with because I was expecting my first relationship to eventually come back into my life because I felt like it was always going to be him. And then after a couple of times of going back and forth, it got to that moment where it's like, you know, I'm not your guy, am I? I never had that conversation with him. It was just something that I knew, and it wasn't something that I really wanted to witness and be a part of anymore. I don't think it's fair for me to keep holding on and having attachment to something that no longer benefits me anymore. I feel like talking about it more and reflecting on it has had me realize so much more about myself. Why did things fall apart? Why were things so messy here? You really look at your life in the whole grand scheme of things and you really realize, wow, this really didn't matter. This is what actually mattered in that moment. But because I was so young, I was focused on disassociating from the fact that, you know, my grandmom, there was no cure. My grandmom wasn't gonna get better. I was losing her physically as, you know, I was losing this guy. I don't think he really understood the heavy emotions that I was really feeling. And I think I also had really bad attachment issues because of having an absent parent growing up. My mom left me at a very young age, and that's not something I really opened up a lot about. But I think what really helped me kind of think about it and reflect on it, because I was so mad for such a long time. I have my own theories, but I think the only one that could help me heal and move forward is the fact that maybe she understood that I would be better off without her as my mother in my life. I don't know if that truly was the reason why she did not really reach out. I had just turned 10 the last time I saw my mother. I really wanted her back in my life. She would just sometimes only show up for a little bit or not show up at all. My grandmom could really tell after I would see my mom the effect that it would have on me, because I was definitely a completely different person emotionally in those time frames. And the thing is, my grandmom was always there to pick me up in those moments where I felt like everything was just falling apart. The fact that I was losing that, I didn't really know where to get that support anymore. I really was just trying to hold on to something, and unfortunately that something had to be, you know, this guy. I do think that he showed me so many amazing things about what being loved and appreciated, even if it was only for a short period of time. It still had a deep impact on me, pushed me to grow, to find myself, discover who I was outside of the closet. I was still in the closet whenever I was dating him, and then gradually I was able to start going out and putting myself out there. It's weird. It's crazy how in your 20s, some things feel so close because the emotions connected to certain memories feel like it literally just happened yesterday. So many lives and seasons that I've lived. There's a weird part of me that thinks back and it's like, wow, it's been 8 years since this relationship, and I'm probably still even beating a dead horse, still talking about it. It really affected my dating life moving forward, because that was like my first love. That was the only thing I really could work off of. To be quite honest, I really haven't had that substantial of a relationship since. I can say that I have fallen in love several different times. In a sense, I've also sabotaged a lot of relationships because of not really wanting to make things too real in my life, because if I did, then that would mean that my grandmom really was dying. My first love didn't choose me. All of these things would become more real the more real my life got. So it was easier for me to distract myself and try to just keep doing different things. Beneficially, that helped me because I put a lot of energy into school, and a lot of that is thanks to my grandmom. I feel like my grandmom really helped project me to move forward even when her health was failing. What I really relied on were the things that she engraved in me whenever I was younger, and I would actually hear her voice. Like, her voice would be the reason I would get up in the morning. I would always hear her say, Tyler, you need to get up. You need to do this class. You need to do these things. That has been a blessing because she has helped me in so many different avenues, even in her death now. I'm so thankful that not only she has so many things engraved in me, but she is still very close to my heart and her energy is still very much around me, and I'm grateful for her. I think the big thing that's on my mind right now, being 26, I'm now closer to my 30s than I am 20, and that was really a big sort of mentality I had to get into because there was so long of a time where I thought I would have to be on a certain timeline, and there are still days where I feel like I'm getting closer to an expiration date. Like I'm around so many amazing people who are getting married, getting engaged, having children, taking these really big steps and really big life moments, but I'm not necessarily experiencing the same things at the same time rate as the people closest to me. There are days where I'll look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, I just feel like I'm kind of behind. That gives me a moment of reflection. Dating has been very hard for me, and I don't know if that's just because I'm a gay man and I live in Oklahoma and things are harder here. Maybe I've been around the block too many times. Maybe I didn't give too many guys a chance, which that is very much a true point. I will say that I did self-sabotage a lot of developing relationships in my life. I could excuse it, but really I have not had very many successful relationships. I've learned a lot, especially in my early 20s, about how I want to be treated, but also how do I communicate my emotions in a beneficial manner and in a way that's not gonna have a negative output to it. That's something that I've really tried to work hard on. If I feel so strongly about something, then I'm valid enough to know why do I have that strong enough emotion. I feel kind of bad that I never gave any of those guys a fair chance, but I will say too that I definitely did try and did fall in love with several other guys. One guy I remember I felt really deeply for, just the way he would communicate with me was very spotty, and I don't know, I just felt like I was having a lot more questions than I did answers. I was just really holding on to how special the dates felt and, you know, kind of feeling those emotions and feeling those butterflies again, and I felt like I got on a high on that. Things just didn't work there. And then there's been a couple of other times I feel like I've gotten close to falling in love with someone else. Right before my grandmom died, I was dating this guy and he was super nice, super sweet, so many things that I wanted in a guy. Like, he was nerdy like me, very outgoing, and loved all the pop culture things that I love, like early 2000s Disney Channel, all of that. Like, he was all about that, and I was very thankful that I had met him and we had gone to spend time together. But I really had to look at myself, and I realized that I wasn't gonna be able to be the boyfriend to him that he was to me. I wouldn't be able to show up every day for him, and that was not fair for him. There was a moment where I almost said I love you, but I knew that if I had said that, then he would have to deal with everything that I was going through, and that was way too much baggage for me to put on someone, and he didn't deserve that. And I knew that I needed to take time for myself and really let myself figure out what is my life moving forward. I really needed to reconnect with myself before I could put myself out there in a relationship. I think another factor that goes into dating and kind of the difficulties of it for me is the fact that there was a period of time where I didn't have respect for myself and my body, and I was trying to get that validation from men, and that was not healthy whatsoever, because at the end of the day, I would still go home, lay in my bed, and it would still just be me. It wasn't the validation that I thought I would get. I really started getting very insecure about myself, about my body, the way I look, comparing myself to other people. And then I started trying to correlate my self-image and then the fact that I don't have a partner or a boyfriend or a relationship that's really working. I will say it was hard for me sometimes to look at myself in the mirror, especially I want to say after I graduated college. I was deep in a depression for a year, and I would just spend every weekend at my house. I would only leave my house to go to work, and I would stay in my house every other time. Another thing that happened in the last 2 years was that I left my career, and I think the only explanation, that was a really hard thing for me to do, but I was so deep into a depression. It was kind of this whole, what am I going to do with the rest of my life now? I don't have school really to fall back on. So am I just going to be working 8 hours a day and going into an office job and not really doing anything else? So I kind of just manifested that with my depression. I really kind of just sat in that energy and just let it manifest in myself. But I will say more recently, I have been a lot more direct in the way that I go into dating. I feel like now I have this kind of weird parameter where if I get on a second date with someone, and you might think I'm crazy for this analogy, if I've spent 7, maybe 8 hours with a guy, I need to know at that point, are you about me? Like, are we going to continue this? A lot of the time in those sorts of situations, to kind of give it more specifically, there was a guy I dated, I want to say about a year ago. We spent very many hours together on our first date. It was really great, very emotional sort of date, though. I think we got into some very deep topics very quick, and we kind of trauma bonded, and that also is not really a healthy way to get your foot in the door on a relationship. It was the first time I really had gone on a date since my grandmom died. So you start talking about what's going on in your life, and it's like, well, my grandmom died, I left my career, really big life events. That was just kind of on the forefront of our mind. We went on one date, which was like about 4 or 5 hours long, and then we went on another date. I was really enjoying my time that I was spending with this guy. I feel like I wasn't trying to force to be anything other than myself, because a lot of the times I feel like I would just be very performative on dates, be the person that I think a guy would want me to be versus who I actually am. I can honestly say I did lose track of myself for a really long time there, and that's a really scary thought. I feel like I have carried a lot of myself with me in certain aspects of my life, but there were areas where I feel like I didn't authentically present myself. I really tried with this guy to be very authentic with myself, feel the vibes out, get the energy. I remember he said something at the end of the day along the lines of, thanks for hanging out with me, and that really kind of struck a chord with me, like, oh, we're hanging out, like we've, spent a lot of time together at this point. Texted him about it, and I was like, hey, so are we just like hanging out? And he was like, oh yeah, I actually wanted to talk to you about it. And then turns out he wasn't attracted to me, and that's totally fine. That really brought in the whole realization of, I really do need to be communicating this sort of question, because if you're not about me, then I don't really want to spend any more time with you. I surround myself with so much love and support. There's another guy I had recently dated, and I really, really liked this guy. I was big and I was bold, and I slid into the DMs. That's like new for me. And then we ended up going on a date, which lasted like, I want to say like maybe 5-6 hours. It was so much fun. We did so much together, and it really just was a phenomenal first date. I love a guy's smile, and the guy had a killer smile. So yeah. Then there was a situation between him and I where there was just a moment that really reminded me of something that happened in my falling out with my first relationship. It was just a roller coaster of emotions, because it felt like I lost years and years and years of work that I've done on myself. And so I was upset with myself first and foremost. And then I was like, okay, well, I have this emotion and I'm feeling it, and I need to do something about it. I can't just let it bottle up inside, because I used to do that. That was, I think, one of the biggest reasons why my first boyfriend and I didn't end up working out, because I kept a lot of my emotions bottled up inside, only for them to really come out at once. And it was very overwhelming. I'm a very overwhelming person. Like, I'm a very energetic and very talkative person. And also at the same time, he had every right to do what he wanted to do. We weren't exclusive. We weren't officially boyfriends at the time. I didn't really get a response. He had reached out to me in several different avenues since then. We really never got back to talking. And so I just felt like I'm questioning this energy. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I've full on accepted that. All that to say is, I want to create space that invites energy that I'm not begging for. That doesn't necessarily always have to apply to relationships. I feel like especially recently, I'm creating a space that I can take up by being my fully authentic self. It took a lot for me to get there. It was actually after this guy, I was just like, you know what? I'm really just going to be trying to invite energy and not beg for it. That has been such a game changer of a mindset for me. I've really been able to look back on myself and really just have that space for that 8-year-old in me to come out. That's just starting to make videos. The kid who loved singing and dancing to High School Musical in Hannah Montana. That was who I was, and that's always who I've been. But there is so much of a space within my heart that wants to take care of all of those eras of myself. And I feel like that has been such a healing process for me, is really looking back on myself, knowing that some aspects have always stayed with me, and that's something so empowering. I look back at the old videos I would make and I was like, you know, he still has his voice. But that also applies to the 10-year-old who would always make slideshows of family photos with music and then making YouTube videos. There was also an era where YouTube was kind of messy for me. I know that now if I go through another heartbreak, I'm not going to make a video expose on YouTube about it. I am going to write it all in my notes app and I'm gonna go get some ice cream. I feel like I've been stuck in a cycle with dating where I really like someone and then they end up not really feeling the same way for me. And then, okay, next person, okay, next. There's been so many times where I just feel lost at trying to find someone who is on a similar wavelength in life with me. Now, I don't know when I'm gonna find that, but I think me actively being so like aggressive where it's like, I need a man, I need this, I need that, like begging for it, that's not beneficial for me. So that's why I kind of shifted my mindset. I invite that energy, that positive energy to come to me. But if it's not now, it's not now. And that's totally okay. I'm just creating space for anything to happen. I've really worked hard on my mental and physical health recently. A lot of where I'm at, I really just have to thank my grandmother. She's still very much close to me and she still shows me signs of her love, because even in her illness, she put me on this path. I remember I was deep into my depression and I was sitting on my bed and I was just really not feeling great, not feeling fulfilled. I was looking at my phone and I was just like scrolling, and then all of a sudden I open up my phone app and I look at my voicemails and I see a bunch of ones named grandma on them, and they didn't have a timestamp or anything. And so I clicked on one and I was like, okay, this is very interesting. I wonder if anything's gonna load. And then all of a sudden I hear my grandmom's voice.
Hi Tyler, this is Grandmom. I just wanted to call and see how you were doing and how you like school and just kind of catch up on some things. So if you'll give me a call back at your convenience. Thanks, I love you.
That was the first time I'd heard her voice in a very long time. It was like this weird sort of out of body moment where it's like it was everything I needed to hear from her, but it was in a completely different context, which that in itself is all, and like just the timing of it and the fact that I had voicemails on my phone from her from like my first ever phone that wasn't even an iPhone. It was like a little slider Verizon phone. This shouldn't be a thing. Why am I realizing this now that I have these voicemails? So that was kind of the pinpoint where we need to refocus. We need to look at the lens of my life, because I can't just sit here in my bed and cry for the rest of my life. There's just no way. That's not what my grandma would want for me. That's not what the younger me deserves. It's not what I deserve. I feel like she's really pushed me out of my comfort zone and trying different things and new things. Recently, I started engaging with people more organically. I started really going to the gym and started doing these workout classes, and I'm meeting so many amazing people. We're all just on this great motivation journey, and it's just really amazing to just talk about thoughts and positive feelings with one another. We're all in this moment together in this life, you know, living it. We're all still coming together, even if it's just for our health or our mental health or whatever reason people go to the gym. And that's been something so beneficial to me. Like, I've become a major addict of the gym, but like I love it. Like, we're getting like a little swole here, like not to like brag, but like your boy has been working in the gym. But I just also really like putting myself out there. Like, the gym feels very much a safe space for me to express myself. And I do want to say I did go back to my career. I'm a journalist, I'm a TV producer, and it is so healing to return to something that had brought me so much confidence. Talked a lot about, the negative sides of my early 20s, and I really think that I need to talk about positives too. Like, I had so many amazing advisors and friends that have been around me for so much of the ride up to this point, and so many people who have just been there and have seen me in my lowest lows and my highest highs, but also people who push my ideas forward and really just want to see me succeed. I'm forever grateful for that. And even to this day, I've really looked back the years since my grandmom's death, and one thing that I'm most grateful for is the relationships that I have in my life right now. I have so many amazing people in my life that I know truly love and accept me fully and know me fully for who I am, and I don't have to question that. I think that is the most healing thing for me, is the fact that I don't have to question any sort of relationship that's currently in my life. Like, I just know. To kind of hold myself accountable, I will say that in my darkest moments and in the moments where things were really rough and muddy for me, I did push away friends. We all kind of go through these different waves in life, and I have nothing but love and appreciation for the people who have walked this life with me. I think that everyone comes into your life for a reason, whether that's to teach you a lesson, whether that's to be in for a short season of your life. But I really think that a lot of things that I've gone through have really shown me these are your bad qualities. I really did feel guilty about not telling my grandmom, thank you for being my mom. I think that's something I very much projected into all of my other relationships, especially the people closest to me. I love my life. I love the people who are in my life. I have taken a long road to get to where I'm at today, and I am nothing but grateful for every step of the way. Even in the bad moments, I feel like I've learned so much about myself and how I work as a person. I've never felt more connected with myself than I do in this moment. To really be able to sit with yourself and love yourself and really just appreciate every era and aspect of yourself with appreciation and admiration of everyone around you. I have this girl Stella. She's been with me for 10 years. She's been with me through all of my heartbreak. She has licked so many tears. She has seen me through so much. So to kind of have her still here is also like a reminder that life is also very short, but also there's so much love and support in your life. And I appreciate that girl every single day. I love my Stella baby. She is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. She is the longest dog I've ever had. Some days she was the rock that I needed. She would always be there to meet me at the end of the day, and she would always give me a kiss, and she would always lay there right next to me and give me that unconditional love. Oh, hi Stella. Hi Stella, baby. She knew I was talking about her, so she was like, I'm gonna come say hi. And that's you. Oh. And just to kind of bring it all home, I think the one thing that I hope this video shows you is that we're all just trying to figure it out. I still don't have it all figured out, but I hope knowing that you're not alone in this thing that we call growing up in life in general. We all make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. How can I make things different whenever I approach this challenge in the future or approach something similar? And I think that's something that I've really tried to break down. I hope that maybe something in this video resonated with you guys. I keep on seeing this thing online where it's like people in my age bracket are just living through the first season of the Friends TV show. And they had so much life that they lived before each of them got married and had kids. And I'm not on a timeline. No one is really on a timeline. I do believe in whatever you put out in the universe will come back to you. So I try to put out positive energy. And the thing that really did bring me back to my career was writing. And so right now I'm really revisiting a lot of my childhood and talking about growing up, coming out, my first heartbreak, going through the whole realization of my mom not being in my life. And then also my grandmother was my mom. She will always be my mom in my life. And it's so much fun and it's so healing. I don't know if I'm actually going to publish it fully. It might just be like a thing for me. I'm grateful for all of you guys for continuously staying tuned in and watching. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want, please like and subscribe. I also have some social media. You can follow me on Instagram at tytywhitehead. I also have a TikTok with that same handle if you want to follow me over there. And I will see you guys in another video. Bye, you guys. Oh my God, the bugs. I really... Sorry. I don't know where the flies came from, but they need to go away. I'm evicting them. Oh, there is a bug on my microphone. Where did it go? Oh, it's right there on the top. Okay. I need to spray this room down. Stella, hello? Is there anything, Stella, that you want to say? Like, she's like looking at me like, do you not see me trying to sleep here? Look at this little pretty kitty. I appreciate your support and I love your support.